そんな陰口、誰が、何のために。おい、なんだその顔。ユイチ、お前まさか、また。
Yuichi from Tomodachi game is quite the clever character, who is really good at spreading and creating chaos. This stems from his immense understanding of group dynamics. A person cannot simply stir the pot. He or she needs to know the ingredients in the pot and how those ingredients interact with each other. One of the main games that showcase this understanding is his game with Tenji against the Basketball 5. The Basketball 5 are a solid team whose solidarity and trust and their leadership led them to survive both previous games, unlike Yuichi's team. I'll make a video later on how this character spreads chaos, but this one specifically is about how to understand group dynamics like Yuichi. The game is set in the forest, with Team Basketball having 5 members, to Yuichi's 2. To make the game a bit more fair, the arbiter adds the girl to make it 3. The game is called hide and seek. Each team picks one hider, and all the rest of the members play as the seekers. Whoever finds the other person's hider first wins. A person from one team can ask to join another team, but can never come back to his or her original team. He or she is accepted only if one member of the opposing team accepts. Last rules are: everyone has a phone to communicate with each other, and the hider have a button they can click it to quit the game. If only one person is left in the team, he bears all the losses. The members of both teams divide the losses and the wins as well. The players are provided by an area where they can rest and have food as well. Yuichi and Tenji both have a rocky relationship from the other game, so their trust levels are not that high. But since they share the same goal and talked through it, they both are willing to give their relationship a chance. Team Yuichi has one random girl as a member and one shaky bond between the remaining 2. This team lacks cohesion and numbers, and this is what Yuichi wants to portray. He wants to play to the original perception that exists instead of working so hard to change that perception. 1. Take advantage of the existing perception. Perception is reality. Yuichi and the girl left Tenji hiding without food in the cave, while he and she eat everything they want, sleep well, and spend time around the camp with the other team. Yuichi badmouths Tenji and communicates his displeasure with him through both words and through actions in the form of negligence. He neglects his need for food. He doesn't call him, but this is not his main goal. Yuichi wants to make the others comfortable to the possibility that he will flip to their team. And most importantly, he's using this to have time to study the group dynamics of the competition and their personalities. Yuichi understands that this is the only way for his team to win. The other team is playing along with the game, waiting for Yuichi and the girl to take the food and track the hider down. Their leader, who is currently the hider, is well fed because they have the numbers, so they have all the time they can afford. 2. Understand group dynamics. These steps are intertwined and not fully in order. A. Observe the group's interactions and behaviors. To do this, Yuichi must ask himself few questions because thinking is asking questions. The following are some questions that he or you might go through when you're trying to observe the group's interactions. What type of group is this? Is it a friends group? Is it a professional group? Who is the leader of the group? Who is the outsider in the group? If there are no outsiders, who is feeling more on the outs? Who is the follower in the group? Who is the comic relief or the core gesture? Who is the facilitator that keeps the harmony? Who is the voice of reason? Yuichi is paying attention to things like this, like who speaks more frequently, who dominates the conversation, how is this team making decisions, is the leader doing it all by himself like an authoritarian style, or does he consider the other members of the team in the form of a democracy? How does the team handle conflict between them? How does the team react when they are challenged by a problem? After answering these questions, assessing the leader is the hider, the blonde as the potential weak link, the redhead as the potential brain, the smooth guy as the dilettante, the glasses as the voice of reason, he starts looking for subgroups within the group. B. Determine the subgroups. Yuichi figures out that the stubborn blonde and the smooth guy are a mini group within the major group. They get along with each other. And how would you know these things, right? It's about how people react to each other. There is something called the best friends test. When a joke is told, the people who are most comfortable with each other usually look at each other in that moment. It's an unconscious thing. The person who is slower to react or to look at the other person is usually the more in control. They could react less because they are not in the mood, or because they are more introverted. So gather data, methodically assess, and then and only then make a judgment on who's more in control. Yuichi understands something about groups. Each group has a rivalry inside it, either in terms of a personality clash or just mere friendly competition. Every friendship has a quiet hidden rivalry. In some friendships, it's toxic, but not always. So Yuichi takes advantage of this rivalry when he tries to escape and get food for Tenji. He uses the beautiful woman stratagem, aka honeypot trap, to create a wedge between the friends. The blonde guy is naive around women, the other is not. I won't go too much on the honeypot for now, maybe that's a different video. Anyway, later on we realize that the glasses and redhead are another subgroup because of their past upbringing. These subgroups will take time to detect, so don't grow frustrated. Unlike Yuichi in this game, you will have time to discern things. Yuichi, after all, only had 5 days. You will have weeks and months. Now that you have observed the person's interactions with each other, you must identify the patterns in the group's interaction. This is C. This might include noticing when certain individuals are more likely to take the lead, or when specific types of communications or behaviors tend to be used. Assess the group's level of cohesion and productivity. Are group members working well together? Are they meeting their goals? Yuichi spent 5 days doing this and eventually started noticing few patterns. The redhead is the link between the leader and the rest of the team. That's one pattern. This could potentially mean that he is the brain behind the operation. Yuichi is constantly judging the tone and quality of communications among group members, their level of trust, their level of openness, their level of participation and engagement. Yuichi also assesses the level of accountability and responsibility, the degree which individuals' contributions are recognized and valued. This helps him to see if there are any weak elements to exploit. Any cracks. People who are underappreciated are easier to flip. The level of participation and engagement of the group leader or facilitator is another thing to pay attention to. Yuichi realized that the group tends to overly rely and respect their leader. They make sure to consider his input every time for every decision. So he makes notes of this and tries to create problems between the group members using this. This proved to be very helpful for him that the leader is not there. There is a law of power that relates to this. Strike the shepherd and the sheep will scatter. If you want to destroy a group, start with their leader or their weakest link. But that's for another time. You can also assess other things. Is the group resistant to change and new ideas? Does it work well under pressure? And so much more. We will continue to talk about group dynamics later on in part 2. If you haven't watched it already, click over here. What? It's not there yet? Well, you can try another tricky monster by the name of Johann Liebert over here. I'll see you there.